Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, welcome and thank you so much. It is indeed a terrific Thursday, not just because our parliament is in session, but we have a wonderful opportunity to speak to a remarkable young lady about, well, the gifts of intellect, the power of prose. Want to share more? Well, join us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow, Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome, and thanks for joining us. And we want you to do something that we know you can. That's multitask. We want you to continue to listen to our parliament if you want, but, pay attention to us with a little bit more of, 2 ears. Well, Ms. Jasmine Kanani, welcome. Thanks so much for the opportunity to meet you and through you to celebrate your beautiful literacy.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to share my work. We've just finished publishing the book, and it's very exciting. So I wanted to share it with Cayman because Cayman was a big inspiration for my writing.
I thank you very much for sharing me and allowing me to read it, and not just the writing but the illustrations, the message, and we want to talk more because I'm hoping through you will inspire many others, from that young girl in school who just likes to draw and to read, to that young fellow who thinks, what, I too can be an author.
Yeah.
What? Let's start off. What led you to the space to wanting to write this children's book?
Well, the book was actually born during COVID-19. It was it was born during that, I would say, terrible period, but
terrible indeed.
It was a lockdown, and I think that caused a drastic change in our lives for all of us. For some, it was negative. For some, it was positive. And for me, I decided to really delve deeper into my writing, and one way I did that was I really looked back on formative childhood memories that I had, and from as long as I can remember, I can always remember that my mother would dedicate time every single night to pray with my brother and I before bed. And parents out there know that time before bed can be particularly stressful. The child wants to stay up, watch a little more TV or do something else, but throughout the challenges, she made that time to pray with us. And that really created a principle of prayer in my life. And that principle and value has helped me through so many challenging moments. So, reflecting on childhood memories, but also my inspiration for the book is definitely twofold. So I have just moved to Cayman last year, but I do have family connections to Cayman through Cayman Brac, but I'm working at Montessori del Sol in South Sound. And working with the children it's so inspirational. This is a children's book I've written, so working with children has inspired me a lot. But one thing I always notice working with children is their natural innocence and curiosity and their awe and wonder of the world around them. So, they have a natural faith, and that kind of made me realize that too often people overcomplicate faith, and the children showed me the magic of prayer. And so I wanted to kind of have a book that takes such an abstract concept such as faith and prayer and kind of put it through a child's perspective.
Well, I read it, and I don't say this to be disrespectful. I know some people may take it as such. I prefer to read than to watch something. It could be an instruction video. Give me the manual versus the video for some reason, and I've come to understand that I prefer it that way.
Yeah.
I would like pen and paper over whatever is on text on the screen. It's just some people like to learn, and it's easy for them to learn through manipulating, certain things, right? And in reading what you wrote, I read it and everything, and I go, wow, it speaks to our cultural ethos. It reminds you of the importance, and as you shared your moment of prayer with you, the importance of us as adults, teachers, and parents in particular, how we interact and engage with our children, not just throughout the day, but at that time where we want them to settle, to have a peaceful night's rest.
Exactly.
What we do then, how we do that. Man, it's so crucial.
It is, and I think as an educator, my father and I actually both wrote the book, and we are both educators. So we are huge advocates for the introduction of literature in a child's routine from a young age. And I think especially with a book such as mine, that is a Christian book, books have such a powerful tool to, help the children understand the world and, shape their experience of the world. For example, Christian books, not only does it create a bonding time with parent and child or teacher and child, but when the child begins to ask, can we read that book again and again, they're really forming those important principles that they will take with them their whole life.
And what are we introducing that child to? Because they'll go back to that thing again and again. And if they gravitate to this, and this is positive and productive, or to this other thing, whether consciously or otherwise, and we as the adults need to be very conscious.
We do.
And I think we take for granted. But I like what you share that, doing, I call it, the house arrest of everyone. I do it to bring a little humor to myself, but in a sense, that's what it was. But I like the fact that you say there could have been a very positive time for some. It sadly was negative for many. And you, like many of my friends, use that time to write, to get into their creative side, not just to engage, but to distract them from other things, to remain grounded.
Yeah, I think that period was really influential for me. I began to study more. I began to focus on my degree, early childhood education, whilst also delving into passions that maybe I would have buried previously before. I remember as a little girl, I used to love to write. My mom used to not only pray with me, but also make sure to read stories to me from a young age. And my dad would always tell me these magical stories. So I always had this somewhat passion for writing, but I feel like as I grew older, I tended to, bury that passion, as we all tend to do. But COVID, yes, it was challenging, but it kind of rebooted my life, It made me think differently because society was completely different as we knew it.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is not so much that, for some of us, we put those things aside. Our lives take on another path. We get busier with other things. Yeah. And these no longer seem to have the same level of priority as maybe they should. It speaks to the need to, just like we as a parent with our child before bed, we as the adult and even the young adult, take time. Yeah. Think, pensive, be reflective, introspective. That time is crucial.
It is. I see people always talking about how it's important to not just spend those last few moments before bed on your phone. Rather, maybe journal, write something in your journal or read a book. And I've been doing that recently, and it's just gives me a level of peace. And, I feel prepared for the next day. And it's, as you say, it's extremely important.
And I guess the research is increasingly bearing that we shouldn't, introduce ourselves to this device until a certain age. We shouldn't spend more than a certain extended time. But especially when we go to bed, that blue light, as they call it, should not be that thing that we see last before we turn out the lights. But are we doing that? Are we conscious of the impact on it and the impact on the brain and the young person's development? But to your point, though, how many of us know, in order to forget, or not to forget what we want, we go to our phones, we make the notes, as opposed to the good old-fashioned pen and paper, just write it down.
Yeah, and similar to what you said about your example about preferring to read a manual as opposed to watching it, I find people overlook the benefit of actually writing and actually, having that physical, I don't know what you call it, but that physical aspect to it.
Yeah.
It just, there's something about it that's very special.
And it's, something I read recently that talked about some emerging research. And today, even though it's still relatively new, they're discovering that the person who will take and read something on an electronic device may tend to skim over it, just looking for as best as they can, and they're reading it quickly. But their recall and retention is less if they have physical, people.
It's true.
They'll go through it. They'll not only spend time, understand it, but remember it and be able to utilize it. Something to be said for, what our parents told us, right?
Yeah, it is true. And I think that's why I wanted to, present my message in my book in a very colorful and magical way, whilst also, there was a big focus on the illustrations as well as the important message, but I wanted the message to really be clear and not overcrowded with other things that might not be so necessary.
Right. Well, when we come back from the break, I want to ask you more about it. We're speaking to author, Jasmine Kanani, and you do something special about you, and now I know what it is. It's the Kim Brett connection. That is what it is. So we're going to celebrate that. We're going to talk more. We'll get you, if you would, share the title with us. Tell us a little bit about the book, and we're going to have some fun.
We will.
All right. And if anyone's listening, I think we got a phone line or two that's not working. We found a couple of pieces of string. Not just kidding. 949-8037. That's up. 949-6990. And of course, the WhatsApp number is a call as well. 925-3261. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Jingle all the way into the season of incredible savings and wish granting with Digicel. This Christmas, get 25% off your Prime Bundle plan or postpaid bill for the next 6 months. With plans featuring social data, entertainment data, and more, Digicel keeps you connected and entertained all season long. But here's the real magic. Digicel could make your Christmas wish come true. Win a prize of your choice, from getting your rent paid to a new laptop or even a brand new car. Visit a Digicel store today, where dreams come true this holiday season.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Shop in store or online for the extraordinary Black Friday sale at Tomlinson Furniture and Mattress Gallery. 2 days, in store only, Friday the 24th and Saturday the 25th of November. Store-wide savings on everything in stock, up to 50% off, plus a free gift with purchase. Online shoppers can save on Cyber Monday with huge savings of everything from TomlinsonFurniture.ky. This is the largest sale of the year. The perfect time to replace your mattress, buy your bedroom set, sofas, and anything you need for the home. Hurry in for Tomlinson Furniture's Black Friday in-store sale this Friday and Saturday. And Cyber Monday sale, save up to 50% off. Tomlinson Building on Walkers Road.
I love Pizza Boat. It's yummy. It has my two favorite things combined, cheese and boats. Pizza Boat makes pizza way more fun.
Hop on board the Pizza Boat Express. Kids, now Pizza Boat makes pizza even more fun. Lunch or dinner, let Pizza Boat bring the fun. Pizza Boat, a Cayman twist to pizza, bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas all day, every day. Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Pick up or delivery 949-0000 or order online www.pizzaboat.ky.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
It is that time of the year when we at Puritan Cleaners remind our customers of the services we offer on drapes and all household items. Standard prepaid discounts apply. Call us today at 949-7104, Georgetown and Savannah Countryside. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And it's, for me, I had built this season of this show. On Thursdays, thoughtful Thursday. And some days we have, and today, with Jasmine Kandani, it is very inspiring, very provocative from the perspective of how can we not just be pensive and introspective, but how can we use our talents in a way that uplifts, nurtures, and provides for people something that's inspiring, encouraging, gets them to that place where they feel that they have, they have value, they're valued, and they're appreciated.
Yeah, I think it's a big question, but I think one thing from my experience that helped me throughout this journey was, as I mentioned previously, looking into myself, and a big piece of all of us is our childhood. I looked back at those really important and formative childhood memories, and then I was able to reflect on myself and then take those with me. But also, I think all of us have a dream. A lot of us have a dream, and we all have a story. And I think my advice for anybody who is looking to follow a similar journey would be, don't give up on your dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I always believe if you dream more while you're awake, it's better.
Yeah, a lot better.
And you share the Cayman Brac connection, and the 10 years of being in Cayman, there's so much still that is great about this place, all the people. But maybe it may be important for us to look and ask ourselves, I like change, but is it because I'm driving the change, or is it a change driving me? Is the change positive, or is it change something that causes you to, I'm not sure. With that, though, the more we come together with our hands and hearts, join for something that is good and desirable, the better it'll be for us as we age, but for those who come 3 generations, 10 generations after. Definitely.
And you mentioned Cayman Brac, and I was explaining to you previously that Cayman Brac it's been a huge part of my journey in Cayman. As I mentioned, I've only started living and working in Grand Cayman 2 years ago, well, last year, so this is my second year.
Yeah.
And although I love Grand Cayman, I love the beauty of it, the people, the diversity, but Cayman Brac will always hold a very special place in my heart.
Yeah.
It's such, I think, Cayman Brac really, it showed me the beauty of the Cayman Islands for the first time. I always remember I'm still a part of the church in Cayman Brac, Hillside Chapel, with Pastor Audley Scott, and I always remember my family and I being embraced with such open arms, and I think that's such a great representation of Cayman kindness. You guys are so kind and welcoming, and it's always inspirational to me.
Yeah, but thank you. And there is something special about Cayman Brac, and it is, as you said, a reminder of what the Cayman Islands is, and certainly what Grand Cayman, some would say, was, or on the teeth, or losing that genuine, sincere, compassionate people. But with more and more, there may be less and less. Ms. Jazzy, if I invite you, those freshly sanitized, proper headsets, you can don one nicely. We do have a caller joining us, and we're speaking to author Jasmine Kanani. Let's go to the phones, right? Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
You're most welcome, Dwayne, and good afternoon to you.
How are you today, Mom?
Good afternoon to your guests.
Good afternoon.
I bet you one thing. You would love us more if we didn't have so much traffic.
I think she was alluding to that. That's why she likes about Cayman Brac.
This kind of traffic, that's for sure.
Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom.
But I just want to say, I know I'm much older than both of you. I know that for a fact. I think Dwayne could probably be my son.
Your younger brother, okay?
I'm his older sister.
There you go, Mom.
Named Walry.
Yep.
Anyway, I just want to say I can remember my mother. We had 3 bedtime prayers, but this one always stick. It really stuck in my mind when I look at my mother's picture, now passed away, but it went like this. In my little bed, I lay me down to sleep. I pray thee, Lord, my soul to keep. And if I should die before I wake, I pray thee, Lord, my soul to take. But we didn't say Lord. We said Jesus.
Amen.
Because that's the way she wanted it. That's the way she put it. But as I grew older, I used to say to my son, when I had my son, I used to say Lord. And when I look at her picture, I always remember that. And we had also some songs. She didn't have as good voice as my grandmother, but she used to sing the songs, and if grandmother was there at the moment, she would go on with the songs until we dropped to sleep. But being from a big family, even though my mother only had 2 of us, but I still came from a big family from my grandmother's side. We had to share bed with I had to share with my sister and then my mother as well. And when my dad was home, then we didn't share that much, just me and my sister. But anyway, that little prayer and the song was, every child should memorize this if the child is taught about the Lord or Jesus in school or from their parents or grandparents, whoever that
Yes, Mom.
that family may be. And that's the little song, Yes, Jesus Loves Me.
Yes.
And we used to join in and sing that over and over till I could feel myself dropping asleep. I wish I could drop asleep as quick as I did back in those days. But, you know, it was, I would say, even though being poor, we were provided for as best as they knew how. And a lot of people were like me, my friends, that we all grew up together and things like that, have their own families now. But we should all be taught in these little islands that it is a heavenly, merciful, loving God.
Yeah.
And people should always remember to pray with their child, because sometimes in this modern world of ours and with all the technology and whatnot, sometimes you teach them as best as you know how, the way that you were brought up, and but they sometimes go astray. But my mother also said to me, you know, you should learn from your mistakes. You have to make your own mistakes. I can guide you along with the good Lord, but you have to make your own mistakes, and you should learn. And I did learn. I did learn the hard way too, because I made mistakes, still making mistakes. But I'm going to end this by saying, I wish you all a very good day, and I'm not going to say Happy Thanksgiving, because before, I mean, to me, every day is Thanksgiving. If you put your foot on the floor, it is Thanksgiving, and you're awake, and the Lord open your eyes, you're awake. So have a great day, but still enjoy your turkey.
Thank you, Mom, and you as well.
Okay, I thank you, and I thank you, Mom. You sound like a little girl. I thank you all the same.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
I guess she's right in your dad's eyes. You always will be. Such a fantastic lady. All right, got a quick break to take. When we come back, we can talk a little bit about the book. I need to go get back to work. I'm already here, so please rejoin us as we continue discussing with Jasmine Kanani. Stay tuned.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles until December 31st, 2023. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
'Twas the days before Christmas in Digicel stores near and far. Stockings were hung with the best tweenie deals by far. A 27-day bundle, it was quite an appeal. With 2 gigabytes any use data, it made Roblox so real. YouTube and Disney Plus, oh what a delight. Boys and girls were entertained from morning till night. Endless messaging, a connection so dear. Staying in touch with parents, oh what a cheer. Visit a Digicel store today, where dreams come true this holiday season.
It's game time, Subway fans. We're upping our sub game with the all-new Subway Series menu, an all-star lineup of 6 delicious recipes. Just order by name or number and we'll do the rest. Whether you're catching a quick lunch or just need a tasty victory, the Subway Series menu is coming in clutch. Subway Series, easy to order, hard to resist. Try it today, only at Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Cayman Islands, clear your calendars because something extraordinary is coming your way. Ignite the Fire, hosted by Christ for All Nations, is roaring into the Lions Center from November 29th to December 3rd. Join us for an epic worship and gospel event, a monumental move of God that will transform lives and reveal destinies. Don't miss this 5-night, once-in-a-generation experience. Be a part of history in the making. Ignite the Fire, Cayman. Mark your date, November 29th to December 3rd at 6:30 p.m. nightly, and get ready for an unforgettable spiritual journey that will set your heart ablaze. Cayman and you will never be the same again.
Breakfast, the most important meal of the day. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Breakfast is back this Saturday, November 25th, starting at 7 a.m. at the Lions Community Center. Enjoy a tasty Caribbean breakfast of fried fish and fritters, liver and onions, and ackee and saltfish, starting at only $12. Get your Caribbean breakfast and support the Lions Club of Grand Cayman in their community efforts this Saturday, November 25th, starting at 7 a.m. at the Lions Community Center. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman, serving the people of the Cayman Islands for over 5 decades.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And really, welcome this opportunity to speak to Ms. Jasmine Kanani, because I think there's much to be said for the importance of fellowship, for interacting, for encouraging. As our caller just prior, as she was sharing, the idea that it's important to not just have tradition, but to be sensitive to the person and the place. As an educator, some would think, well, it's automatic that an educator will become an author. And the skill sets might help, but they're not synonymous. It's influential in one way, but it's also maybe, well, how do you...
I think for me, it wasn't something that I would have ever imagined.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy reading, I enjoyed writing, but I think for me, my passion for children and for education and writing went hand in hand. So my big goal for this book was to plant a seed of inspiration in children's lives.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky to have a mother who would dedicate that time to pray with me, and that, as I mentioned, created a strong value and principle for prayer in my life that I took with me through challenging moments. But I think too many people overlook the fact that children, just like adults, go through some very difficult and challenging and confusing times. And for me, prayer has helped me through those times, and I wanted to be able to provide children with, that inspiration for prayer and that push for prayer, and I felt a book might have been the best way to do it.
Normally I would at the outset say, the author, this is the title of the book, but I consciously did, and I'm glad I did. I followed my instinct. Tell us the
title of the book?
title of the book.
So the title of the book, my father and I, we wrote, is called Into the Clouds We Flew. And it sounds like a very magical book.
Yes.
In a way. It is. Because the way I look at religion and the way I look at Christ is it's magic. It's very magical. It's beautiful. And in a nutshell, the book follows, as I've been saying, the understanding of faith and the magic of prayer. And it all takes place on one Christmas night. A boy, similar to my childhood experience, lays down with his mother and they begin to say a prayer before bed. And the boy, as you know, children are very curious. They will ask questions to their parents that sometimes might be huge questions that we even feel like we may not be able to answer. And he asks his mother, how does Jesus answer all our prayers? And that's a hugely abstract concept. But through the magic of the story, Jesus visits him and he's able to go on a journey with Jesus and see how he's able to answer all these prayers. And there's an international dimension to the book in which the boy goes with Jesus to answer 4 different prayers around the globe. So there are 4 different children in very unique circumstances. And in addition to that, as a little segue, I really wanted to provide an international dimension to the book. As I grew up, although I'm Canadian and English, I had the privilege of living on 4 continents. So I was able to visit lots of different countries and see lots of different environments and meet lots of different people with different cultures and values. So I really wanted to encapsulate that in my book. I wanted to, put a bit of me inside of the book. And I think through that message, that international message, I wanted to convey the fact that Jesus loves us all,
And that's something that I think many times when we look at, say, children's books, for instance, we're thinking, oh, it's a children's book, and we don't have to put much thought in it. I'm not an expert, but I've always believed that book for a child is one that is probably harder to write. It is more important to get it right when you do write it, because you're speaking to that young, impressionable mind. Not only the accuracy, but the tone and the text. And you've done something that, even though it's a children's book, for me reading it, the international flavor resonated with, my father and the seafarers of the day. They traveled the globe. With me living in the Cayman Islands with 200 plus nationalities, I can, in your characters as the child, is on that magic carpet ride, as it were, see people who reflect and represent what is in our society today.
Yeah, and I think with so much going on in our society today, we need to remind ourselves that Jesus is there for us. And I think, as I keep mentioning, that's something that gets me through a lot when I feel confused. And I think a lot of people, maybe they haven't been introduced to Christ in their life, or they haven't had that opportunity to explore their religion. I think I really wanted to provide a way in which they could, meet Christ in some sort of way.
And for me, like I said, I wish I was a better reader and a more, well-read person. I'm working on that. So I still got, another 100 years. Lots more books to read. But in reading, you get exploration and adventure. And your book, although presented as a children's book, I don't come away as it. I've seen it almost philosophical, instructive, not just inspiring and encouraging, but real. There is this aspect of relationship as opposed to some sort of tradition or practice or religion.
And I think, as you mentioned previously, it's almost more difficult to write a children's book because, especially from my experience, you want to make sure you're conveying the message in the right way, in a way that will be understood. And also, as an adult and as an educator, I feel, as I was mentioning to you earlier, I feel a huge responsibility to, have a positive influence on children's lives. And I wanted to, I think too often people portray this message of authority and this and that, and religion can kind of seem, unattractive, dominant. And so providing a magical, entertaining story for me felt like a good way to inspire children to seek a relationship with Christ.
You don't want to be condescending to the child, but you also need to be instructive.
Exactly.
And I like the tone you set. And for me, it wasn't just an exercise in reading just to read, or an exercise to read something to prepare for an interview. It was speaking to the Spirit. And
I'm glad.
I commend people to read it when it becomes available.
Yeah. As I was saying, it's fully published. We went through the process with a company in the US called Publish Prose, which I really recommend, and illustrations are done, but we are looking for a sponsor of some sort that might be able to help us print some copies, and we don't want to really get into selling just about yet. We want to do a print run of about a couple thousand, and because it's a book with an important message, I want to give back to Cayman for what it's done to me, and I want to share and distribute books to libraries and schools across Cayman in order to, plant that seed of inspiration in children's lives.
And to inspire the love for reading.
Exactly.
A friend of mine, she's an educator, and as educators sort of you rise up through the ranks, and for some, they want to be the principal or the head of department. She's done it all. But she says she still misses and loves being in the classroom, the hands-on. That's why she became an educator.
Yeah.
But the greatest thing that she shared with us, you would read with your child up until a certain age, and then you stop reading. So she wished that she had continued that into, as long as the child was at home. Now, thankfully, child's a grown adult and family of her own and whichever, you can have a reading club.
Yeah.
But that love of reading and praying with the child, train up a child in the way he should go, and she will never depart, right?
Yeah. But I think you mentioned a very valid point. Yeah. Reading such a critical aspect to development and our society, and I think, as the caller mentioned, our world is so modern and technological now that we can sometimes overlook that and depend on YouTube or other platforms like that to get our source of news and to get our reading in, but we can't forget the importance of reading. It has always been such a critical part of society, and we've got to keep it alive. And
the importance of not just reading but comprehending, and then having a discussion with someone.
Yeah.
Why book clubs, I think, have been, and always will be so crucial. But we are seeing things, and we are not being encouraged to critique, to question, maybe verify if we trust it, but to ask questions, right? All right. We have a short news break to take. If you're inclined, I know school is in for some. I want to continue the discussion. You had shared prior, you have time. We have a few minutes more. And let's ask. And I'm so inspired by your leadership, your passion, enthusiasm, your intellect. And in this time that the world is facing, I'm inviting our listeners through you to be mindful of the importance of nurturing our young minds, engage in them, but be willing to listen to their wisdom and counsel. Now, for some, they're going, but they're only so... No, there are some people that are wise beyond their years, and there's probably a reason for that. I think it's prayer and a nurturing home. Talk to someone to that maybe when we come back from the break. What do you think?
For sure, yeah.
All right, we're going to find solutions to things that you didn't know were possible. The phone lines are available, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp call, 925-32621. Yeah, I know the numbers. Check it out. Jasmine Kanani will stay with us for a little bit longer, and we invite you to rejoin us. Stay tuned.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. Sir Alden McLaughlin is the new Speaker of the House of Parliament, nominated by Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Roy McTaggart, and seconded by Premier, the Honourable Juliana O'Connor-Conley. Sir Alden accepted the nomination and, with no other names brought forward, was sworn in by Her Excellency Governor Jane Owen. In international headlines, Qatar says the Gaza ceasefire will begin at 7 a.m. Friday with aid to, quote, follow as soon as possible. A spokesman for Qatar's foreign ministry made the announcement in a news conference. The first batch of captive civilians are expected to be released around 4 p.m., among them 13 women and children. To the U.S. now, where beloved characters like Snoopy and SpongeBob SquarePants are taking to the skies above New York City today as bands march through the streets for the annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, a tradition that ushers in the holiday season in the U.S. Among the big names performing is Cher, who just released her first Christmas album. The Oscar, Emmy, and Grammy Award winner has a prime spot, performing just before the arrival of Santa Claus, who marks the end of the parade. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July 1936. Captain Fred Elman Scott was the fifth child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott enjoyed a fulfilling career at sea, spanning more than 50 years. He was ahead of his time, employing his mathematical and computer skills to create payroll software, depth charts of Georgetown Harbor, and his pride and joy was his weather program that could detect when a storm formed anywhere in the world and was able to track and forecast its path. He had 6 children and was married for 52 years to Bernadette Silva, whom he met during his tenure in Brazil. In 1954, when Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II visited, Captain Scott had the distinct honor shaking the Queen's hand and piloting the Royal Yacht Britannia and anchored it in the Georgetown Harbor. Captain Scott was a humble man who liked his khaki suit and cap and loved to share his knowledge with those who crossed his path. He was honored at the National Heroes Day, acknowledging the seafaring heritage of these islands.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
It's November, and November brings Gimme Story. The Cayman National Cultural Foundation presents the Cayman Islands International Storytelling Festival. Gimme Story, your district. Join us for 6 evenings of free family entertainment from November 25th to December 2nd. Guests arrive at 6:30 p.m. and the show starts at 7. Experience the best of Cayman storytellers that Anna know from Anna Born, like Rita Estevanovich, Nasaria Saku-Chalet, and international storytellers like Black Sage of Trinidad and more. Vote for the best fried fish and enjoy some swanky. Plus, it's all free. And we starting on time too, so try so hurry up. Visit artscayman.org or Cayman Culture on social media.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks so much for joining us, and thanks to Ms. Jasmine Kanani for not just your writing and your passion for education. Learning, I think, is important. Sharing that knowledge is even more so, right?
Sure.
And being able to soon access your book, even better.
It's exciting.
it is. And I think it's that love for reading that hopefully parents will, by example, they will read, and that inspires the child. So the father may prefer to read sports or other things, but who knows what his interest might be. The child sees it. Likewise with the mother, and that just goes from generation to generation. So it's so crucial.
And you mentioned a valid point before the break. You mentioned how it's not only reading, but it's comprehending, and it's those discussions about literature, which is so critical in the family and also in society as a whole. And you mentioned a very interesting point about how too often we kind of underestimate the power of children and the intellect of children. And as an educator, hand on my heart, I can say I've learned more about myself working with the kids than I have before working with kids. They just take you back to the basic skills and the basic understanding. I don't want to say basic, but your first years, your formative years, and they really help you rethink things, and they teach you so much about yourself. But so the kids teach the teacher sometimes, and I think discussion is so important.
Thank you for sharing that, because I think too many times, and it could be the expectation of the parent on the education system, the directions from the policy perspective, whether that's the senior management team at the school or at the ministerial level, whatever it is. But learning is something that should happen, and it should be fun, right?
Yeah.
And I think back to a child in the English language. I'm not going to be an expert in any of the one languages, but the phonetic spelling sometimes of the child. So they're writing something, they're learning to write, and this word is being spelled. And if you read it, it is spelled the way you say it. It's just not spelled the way that presumably is the correct spelling, according to you know, right? Very, very instructive if you're willing to embrace that. What does that mean for the child? What does that mean for the rest of us? Then I think if you fast forward and be able to do a comparative study of not just the Germanic languages and so on, the etymology of words, you can see how they are so interconnected and related. And then you start to question, well, why is color with a U in one language and in another one, well, the color is spelled without the U. Should it even be with a K instead of a C?
I think those are things I'll be daydreaming one day and I start thinking about these abstract concepts, but it is true.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important to, as you mentioned about literature and teaching children has to be fun, that I think that's why it's so important to really get to know the child and observe them and figure out what their interests are, what their passions are, what their needs are, and let go of this preconceived idea of misbehavior and stuff like that, and actually trying to figure out what the child's needs are. And that's one thing I've been learning, and it's influential. It's been transformative in my career.
If I might, and as I was asking during the break, prior to the break, based on what you were sharing, we see our young people and we have great expectations and hopes and desires and plans for them, but sometimes we're not willing to give them the space to stand with them. And sadly, my perspective, when we do take the reins off, it's in an irresponsible way, because you're basically throwing the child into the shark tank, knowing that there's the probability of survival is.
I think that's why now with our modern society, people often believe that, the best way to parent is without boundaries, is to let children do whatever. But actually, I'm a big believer in positive discipline. So there's discipline, but it's positive. I don't want to hurt the child or, create a negative experience for the child, but there needs to be boundaries. You know what I mean? And that, I think those boundaries, and it comes from love and providing them, just as what happened with my childhood experience. My mom always had a tradition with me for prayer. And I took that with me. That was in my formative, absorbent years. And I took that with me, and it's made me who I am. Yeah.
And that's concerning, I think, many times when we hear psychologists and sociologists and just even social commentators ask, what has happened in this child's life? And it's probably back to those formative years.
Yeah.
We as parents are probably questioning, did we consciously or unconsciously do or say something that has now impacted that child 30, 40 years later? Did that child experience something? The word discipline is a word that we use and perhaps don't quite understand. We should be disciplined in our exercise, have discipline when we're studying. The child needs to be disciplined, but we somehow confuse what that word means.
I think for me, when I think about discipline, I think it has quite a negative understanding to it, but I like to switch it around to guidance.
Yeah.
I like to say positive guidance, because we as parents, it's our responsibility to create a positive environment for the children with boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's how they can learn. That's how they can understand the world around them.
Yeah. I mean, in the Christian society, we'll hear many of us, especially as parents, say, "Oh, spare the rod and spoil the child." But what does that mean, and how have we understood the context? You know, it's not the rod to beat and to somehow, you know, have the child submit. Even that word alone has. But is it guidance, as you shared? Making sure that we don't fall off the cliff, but we can come and look at the precipice and have a gander at what lies below and understand the impact. If you want to get down to the valley, well, this is how you do it. You don't jump off. Let me take you down the path.
You raised a good point previously about how our role as parents and teachers, if we maybe don't use the right words, or we might not, you know, handle a situation in the best way, we could cause some really lasting negative effects in a child's life, which they take to their adulthood. And I think that's why it's so important to look into yourself. And for me, one way that I've been doing that as I prepare myself each day to be with kids is spiritual, you know, preparedness. I like to be spiritually prepared. I like to look into my own maybe faults and whatever is going on inside of me and prepare myself, because it's a big responsibility dealing with kids. And I think that's why it helps preparing ourselves spiritually, helps us be models for kids, because ultimately to guide, we need a model to kids what we're supposed to do.
And I'm so glad you shared that. You know, we're speaking to Jasmine Kanani, and there's a wonderful, I don't know if I want to call it a children's book, but that's what it is. An instruction manual. It's a beautiful story. Into the Clouds We Flew. Just the title alone, right? And reading sometimes, a book can be 3,000 pages, you know, the finest of print. And in a whiff, they've inhaled the book and read it all. Some of us, the book could be 3 pages long, just 3 paragraphs, and we struggle through it for different reasons, right? So we want to develop that love, that passion for reading, and it has to be more than just something as an examination that looms after. It's about the enjoyment.
Yeah, and I think that's why, as you can tell from the title, that it's a very mystical and magical book, which I think, from me and my own perspective, I think the idea of Christ and the idea of his love for us is magical, and it's mystical, and this being who loves us so much. And that's really what I wanted to portray. Is I wanted to, not only through the tone of the book, which was quite light and magical, I also wanted my illustrations to mirror that. Through my experience with the publisher in the US called Publish Prose, they were able to provide us with an excellent illustrator who, based in Indonesia, who was able to really capture that image for us.
Yeah, you can see much of it in it. That was, you know, it didn't distract, you know, from the writing. It complemented it heavily, and it wasn't there to compete. But your book was not just relatable; it's also relevant, especially in times like these. The child with many questions, the child with a curious mind. How do we nurture? How do we answer? How do we help that child to find the space?
Yeah, and I think I'll keep going back to this point, but I think for me, at least from my experience as a child, what really nurtured me and provided me the best form of guidance was having a Christ-based life. I was able to, I'm not going to say that I've never made wrong decisions, but I have, just like everybody. But I would say that foundation in my life as a child really took me to, it really formed who I was as a whole. And I think it's so important to introduce children to these principles and introduce them to these, you know, into the Bible and to Christ.
Yeah. And thanks for being so willing to share that. And I'm hoping that as we listen to you, those of us who are parents and grandparents and still understand the importance of the roles that we play, not just in the lives of those around us or in our community through volunteer or work, but we are alive. What are we doing? And not be so quick to dismiss the young people and what they're saying.
Yeah.
But also, if I might ask, if you're okay, also be as willing to stand before them, stand beside them, and say, hey, this is a misstep, or here is a better outcome, because I've done it as well. I mean, many of us are a certain age and we've never had any mistakes. We've done nothing wrong. I mean, sorry. But that's the image that
it's very true.
Yeah. And if I can tell you, don't mix that with that because it won't work, you know what? Be honest.
It goes back to what I was saying about positive guidance. It comes from a loving place. It comes from this desire to help somebody, to, fellowship. That's really where it's all stemmed from. I think young people too often, it's maybe immaturity, or it's maybe, I don't know, maybe it's lack of experience. But I've had to learn this myself, that just because somebody who might have more experience than you may be criticizing you, it doesn't mean that it's against you. You shouldn't take it personal. I think it's so helpful, especially for me. It's been so helpful, my journey, listening to my parents, listening to family members, listening to teachers. It's taking those wisdom.
If I might ask, and please, share as you wish, but it's a question that I'm asking, in this platform for all of us to consider. We live in a world where I'm learning words like cancel culture. I didn't know what that was. I maybe it always existed. Maybe it's a new thing. I didn't know. Yeah. I'm also learning other things that's really a word. What does that word mean? Oh, that word used to mean this way back when. Now it means this. So in sort of setting that premise, we are seemingly in a space where you can't say anything to anybody. Two people having a private conversation about something, someone eavesdropping is offended, and that should be a problem. I'm like, keep your business to yourself, stable. You can't do that. You can't talk about this. You can't chastise a child, presumably. You can't talk about anything. Two adults can't talk about an adult topic, but people can be forced to go into schools and talk about that adult topic to a 5-year-old. I mean, I'm trying to be a little bit sensitive, but
I understand what you're saying.
I know you do.
And I think it goes back to, I think in many ways it's a respect of everybody's beliefs. If I may not like that somebody else tells me something, or so on and so forth, and I don't know, I think if I have a belief about something, I would want somebody else to respect about me. If I, I think it's just an overall respect of each other's beliefs. And I think there's also boundaries that need to be, it goes back to that positive guidance and those boundaries.
So let's flip that coin over. Not only is that probably not the courage, or even for some, the recognition of the need to do this thing, but we are unwilling to step up, even to our closest friends and our family, and say to them, you're going in this path, or we share a recipe with them, best example, and we say, listen, the recipe calls for a quarter cup. Trust me, you're gonna need 2 cups. It's gonna be dry otherwise. Or it says to use this, don't use that. Use this instead. We won't do that. Not just and
I think it just goes back to, I think we all as a society, we need to, I think our society is becoming more and more self-centered and more sensitive. And although I respect sensitivity, but I'm also a strong believer in constructive criticism around my colleagues and whoever I'm around. I know that I'm still young, and I know that I'm still understanding the world as a whole. So I will ask, can you give me constructive criticism, please? If you see me doing something wrong, please help me. Yeah. And I think we need to go back to that value, and we need to understand the benefit in wisdom from others.
Well, your parents are obviously a great example for us as parents, and they've instilled and instructed you in a way. And I'm hoping that through this discussion, not only we, get a great children's book to read with and to our children, but we start to see the importance of looking at our children. It is so unfortunate that we say, the children are our future, but we're doing nothing to prepare them for it, or we expect them to find their way with their guidance. We are somehow believing that they'll have all the wisdom and knowledge, but we don't stand with them.
I think that's why it's so important to, as you mentioned before, if a father enjoys reading sports magazines, what stops him from sharing that with his child? You don't know what their passion is going to be. And I think as a global citizen and as a citizen in society, we need to have an understanding of lots of different topics. And that's how we connect with each other.
Mhm.
And yeah, exposing your children to as many different topics as possible and to as many different ways of viewing, ways of thinking is really important.
And it's important that we engage the child, as teacher, but if I may say, as parent, to ensure that our child has the most positive
Yeah.
outcome. We can't leave them onto their devices at all times.
No.
But, and this may, only apply to those of us who have had, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years of living. But sometimes we need to say to someone else, at least in my view, and if I'm wrong, I'll certainly take guidance. Listen, we're contemporaries, but you're wrong. This approach isn't the most, beneficial. And we're not willing to do that.
Yeah, I think it's just, as I said before, it's a way of thinking and a way of now, it's a norm in our society that we need to reflect on, because I think there have been benefits in it, but also there's been disadvantages of it too.
Yeah.
And I think we really need to reflect on ourselves as a society, and each one of us has to do our own part. We need to reflect on how we're, contributing to this and kind of figure out the healthy balance.
Something I said to the guests who said it, and I've been conscious of it. The word tolerance, it wasn't a word that I necessarily thought was always appropriate, and had some hesitancy on a personal level. And he said, you know what, substitute that word for respect.
That's a very valid point.
Yeah, and I thought, and it makes sense, right? Because if we have mutual respect, and if we have respect for ourselves, we're going to ensure that when we interact with other people, as the teacher has the respect for the child would then obviously respect begets respect. Be willing to guide.
I totally agree with that. That's kind of the point that I was trying to get at with respect for everybody.
Yes.
Although we might have different sensitivities or different boundaries, there's that mutual respect. And that's what I think is so important. I think people who are overly sensitive or, might be overly open, there's that healthy medium through respect. And yeah, I think it also comes back to an idea that we don't know what anybody else is going through. I might get offended because you don't say hello to me when I come into work, but I don't know what you're going through. And I think it's just that understanding of, okay, let me not get ahead of myself and judge these people and have some respect.
A friend shared the other day, she said, there's a thing she saw. She says, just because you can carry the burden, it doesn't mean that it's still not heavy.
That's very true.
And I thought, prior to that, I shared, not until you, carry your own water that you start to value each drop.
Yeah.
And it takes life to give that experience, but it also takes, as you share, that surrounding environment to create that confidence to help you to find, responsible and respectful boundaries, so that as you explore life and experience things, that you're not, I think if my father didn't say this, it sounds like something I think he would say. He said, why God allows you to live to a ripe old age? Simple. You can't make all the mistakes at once.
Yeah. But I think going back to the topic of children, I think that's why it's important to create a positive, loving, healthy environment for children with boundaries, because teaching them to create their own boundaries too is also important, because it's something that we all have to do in society, and it's a part of life.
It's amazing how we look at our parents and our grandparents and the way they parented. If we were to follow those examples, give them, the guidance and the nurturing they need, give them sufficient freedom to be able to experience things that aren't going to be destructive, as opposed to what seems to be the approach today. Oh, well, you don't know anything about life and you can barely walk, but boy, you can decide for yourself whether you want to do this or not. Really? The child doesn't know a pencil, from a sword, but they can go play both.
And it's taking that time. I think we need to remind ourselves that we need to take the time as adults to guide the children, but let them explore, let them create their own personality, but we need to be there if they need help.
Indeed.
And it's not, as I keep saying, that healthy medium. It's supporting them in the best way that they need.
All right. Well, I certainly have enjoyed every minute of this. Hopefully, when you get your 10,000 copies in print. Now, two questions, if I might ask. You shared earlier that, maybe some sort of sponsor assistance. For those of us who want to partner with you, draw alongside in some way, can we? And if so, how?
I would say, I think the best way to get started would be through communication, through conversation. We can try to figure out the best way to support each other. And yeah, I think my main vision for that would be to, as I have my publishing already done, I have the illustrations done. We just want to find a printer, and that can be costly. But our main vision for that is to distribute books to the children of Cayman, maybe across Caribbean islands and even in South America. I mentioned earlier that we were doing a Spanish translation, as that's really important to me. And yeah, I just want to be able to spread the message to as many children as possible, but it can be difficult to do that sometimes.
I am prayerful that will be achieved, because we recognize, whether conscious or otherwise, the things we say to our children, whether it's, brainwashing, as some would say, or it's propaganda, or if it's negative, whatever that child is, introduced to, can impact and influence that child's perspective, their, well-being, physical, mental, and otherwise. At those formative years, it's important that everything that we provide for them and help them to be a part of is as positive and as helpful as possible.
For sure. I like to say it's the most absorbent period, so we need to give them, create the most positive environment as we can.
Indeed. Well, I'm looking forward to your future publications, getting this one to where you want it, not only translated into Spanish, who knows. Forgive me. I shouldn't talk so much in the mornings. I've been doing that a lot recently. But to be able to have that shared space where we see the value and importance and the respect that we should have for our children, in particular, those very, very instructive, formative years.
Yeah.
It was an honor.
Thank you, me too.
Into the clouds we flew.
Into the clouds we flew, indeed.
Thank you for sharing that with us, and I'm hoping that next time we have a chat with you, we'll be able to maybe expand our conversation a little bit more. We'll be able to physically touch the pages. The illustrations are really, really complimentary to what you've written.
Thank you so much. Hopefully that's the plan, and hoping to share the story with Cayman soon.
Well, you have my details. If I can be of any value, please reach out. So Jasmine Kanani, that Cayman Brack connection is so evident. Thanks very much. It's a wonderful time of year. Now, as the caller shared earlier, that the U.S. will celebrate Thanksgiving. We should do so every day. But as we go into the Christmas season, remember the festivity and the fun and the fellowship with the family as we break bread. But that sharing of food is about a reminder of where we are. So, any quick final thoughts you may want to leave with the listeners? Any other words of wisdom from our mind so brilliant?
Yeah, I think one message that I've kept repeating throughout this segment is the importance of prayer and the importance of introducing your children to important principles and values from a young age. And one great way that we can do that is through literature. So reading with your child and discussing, as we mentioned before, having those discussions with your child is critical.
Well, thank you very much. And it was truly an honor. I believe that if we listen, we learn. If we bring our hands and hearts together, we can achieve great things. But we have to have the courage to stand in the gap and to be willing to do what is right, because we know it's right, and not be afraid and not be afraid. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
You too. Thank you so much for listening to my story.
Oh, thank you for sharing it with us. Jasmine Kanani, Into the Clouds We Flew. I enjoyed that. I mean, it made me feel like a voracious reader. When we come back from the break, I want to invite you for some open line, and then at 2 o'clock, well, in the theme of education, there's a spelling bee. I didn't know bees could spell. Well, apparently they can. We're going to bring them in the studio. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Jingle all the way into the season of incredible savings and wish granting with Digicel. This Christmas, get 25% off your Prime Bundle plan or postpaid bill for the next 6 months. With plans featuring social data, entertainment data, and more, Digicel keeps you connected and entertained all season long. But here's the real magic. Digicel could make your Christmas wish come true. Win a prize of your choice, from getting your rent paid to a new laptop or even a brand new car. Visit a Digicel store today, where dreams come true this holiday season.
A CUC energy saving tip. Install a smart thermostat and try to keep your AC at no lower than 78 degrees in your home to conserve energy. With CUC, you've got the power.
The Black Friday sale is now on at Reflections Clothing Store. Save 60% on all Adidas apparel. Find store-wide savings up to 60% off on tees, caps, shoes, and clothing. Selected Nike, Puma, and US Polo is 50% off. US Polo handbags. Buy one, get one at 50% off. Save on ladies' fashion jeans, one pair of jeans for $25 or two for $45. Includes select Levi's, 100% cotton tees by Johnny Cotton, 2 for $34.99. Spend $25 and be entered to win up to $500 in gift certificate. Shop the Black Friday sale at Reflections Clothing Store. On now.
Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise its customers and the motoring public of wastewater infrastructure upgrade works on the intersection of West Bay Road and Canal Point Drive, adjacent to the Strand. Preliminary activities will take place on Friday, 24th and Saturday, 25th November, with the main works beginning on Monday, November 27th. These works are anticipated to last for 3 to 4 weeks. During this time, access to the southbound lane along West Bay Road will be somewhat, but not entirely restricted. Traffic control measures will be in place to maintain two-way traffic throughout the works. Traffic signs will be in place in the general vicinity of the works. All motorists are asked to drive with caution. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of its customers and the public as it upgrades its wastewater infrastructure and apologizes for any inconvenience caused.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And there's a call, and as we go to the call, I want to say a special thanks again to Miss Jasmine Kanani and to her dad for a loveless opportunity to have that discussion with her. Much to be said, but let's go to the phones and take this next call. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, it's good to hear from you, man. How have you been?
Not too bad. One day at a time.
You know what? That's the way it should be.
Yeah, one day at a time.
Yeah.
Darling, I want to say something, and I hope that I'll get the privilege to say it.
Of course. I hope so.
Okay. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible. Sterling, I want to ask today, where are the parents for their children, especially at the high school when school is over each afternoon? Sterling, I went to Burger King on Walker's Road just a couple of days ago with my little grandson. And we went in there, and it was an uproar up in there. Oh my God! Somebody had an accident in the road with this what do you call these bikes? What do you call them again? Let's eat.
Mm-hmm.
Let's eat. Got knocked off by a car. Motorbike is in the middle of the road. The guy is in the bush. And the people there with him. Sad. So Sterling, as I was saying, went there, and it was an uproar up inside there. So I said to the lady, what's going down? She said, Miss, how much we can do. And I said, where's the manager? So she called the manager, and I said, sir, this is how this place is being run. I can't stay here with my grandson to eat anything. This evening is my first time coming in a long time. Anyhow, we went out to the table and talked to the guys, and there was a young lady in the table with them. And they went off on that manager up there in Burger King. And then there was a little young lady sleeping on one of the tables. I'm not lying. Sleeping on the table. She had her head and her shoulders up on the table, laying down, her eyes closed. And then they left. And I said to another set of young ladies came in and with a little guy. And she was there sitting out, her foot up, all up on top of the chair, as if she was home eating her lunch or whatever the case may be. I said, Miss, come on, you're a young lady. Why are you sitting like that, especially between a little young man and your friend, and you're in the public? This is a restaurant. She wants to know who I was. I said, you don't want to know who I am. So the manager spoke to her and told her, have some respect. Anyhow, they cussed out the manager and they left. So me and my grandson stayed there, and another Indian couple was there. And Sterling, about 5 more guys came in, went and picked up in the next corner. And the guy said, the manager said to them, are you going to place an order? No. One said yes, so he said, well, you'll have to leave. Sterling, I don't know where the parents are for these children after school in the evening, but they need to have their children to go home. And somebody that put a curfew on those kids is not home between no later than 4:50, and especially they have a bus service that takes them where they have to go from West Bay to Georgetown. You follow me?
Uh-huh.
So why are they hanging out up there at this Burger King and making so much noise and so disrespectful?
If I can... Oh, sorry, go ahead. I want to ask you, but I want to make sure I hear all you're saying as well, right? So you keep it, and then I'll let's ask.
Yeah, okay. And the kids, the children their hair are so unruly. They now brought out something a couple of years ago for the kids to how they must come to school. And when those kids came to school before COVID, they were dressed to the T. The hair was well put in place. And all that has been thrown out the window since COVID came, and now the school is open again. It seems like nothing has came back and said, well, you know what? We need to get back in a more uniform style. Come into school, you go into school.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't look like they're even going to school the way that they're dressed.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to reach out to the parents today and ask them, please make your children come home. Because Sterling, something going to happen in that same Burger King up there in Walker's Road. And I was told that they're up in there pushing drugs and whatever else that they can push. And even the manager had to say he cannot believe that is 5 young men by one table and a little young lady in the middle of those 5 men.
Okay.
5 young men.
And these are all students in uniform.
Students from John Gray.
Okay. And you shared, used the word uproar. Now, I just want to make sure that as a public we don't misunderstand. They weren't fighting, were they?
No, they was cursing
Yeah.
the manager of Burger King.
Yeah,
and
so-
pulling up their pants and playing big man.
Yeah, these
Pushing
students.
the door open.
Okay. Carrying on as we would say, in a sense.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But not fighting, just cursing, being loud and bounce and whatever.
Yeah, so it was no fighting.
Right. No.
No, it wasn't no fighting.
No.
But the manager, and when I spoke, they all, when another set came in, and he asked them they was going to order, and, there was rude, said no. And they were going to have all these seats now, and the manager told them, no, they have to leave. And one of the crowd ordered something. But Sterling, it is the parents that need to know where the kids are after school in the evening. You understand?
Right.
It is the parents, and I feel if this is going to continue, they need to put a curfew on these children that's coming out of John Gray in the evening that has a bus to take them home or a parent to pick them up. Parents need to know where their children are, because when they get in trouble, parents is the first one wants to cry and carry on and curse the government and curse the school and curse the security and so forth and so forth.
Yeah, you are right. I mean, parents and us as adults, the coaches, the teachers, the wider community, certainly we need to be more involved, positively involved in guiding our children and the young people. And maybe there's so much happening in our world that we're no longer paying attention to what is truly important. Some would say we're being distracted. But
we are not paying attention. Yeah. And when the child gets in trouble, the parents want to throw heels up in the air and blame it on other people.
Yeah. And I wonder to what extent we, I say the collective, we, the adults, are we asking ourselves and of each other, what is causing this? What is happening in our society? And not to castigate, but certainly not to abdicate our own responsibilities, not to compare our upbringing and our behavior. And as some have said, we never did that. Maybe we didn't. Maybe we did worse, right?
Yes.
But irrespective of what was done in the past, are we ignoring what is happening now?
Well, in the future.
Right, and how that will impact the future. And I'm questioning to what extent we as adults are unable or are so quick to say we can't do anything. We're not talking about, anything that was serious to harm a child, but...
Sterling, a lot of parents today is scared of their children to a degree. Some of them know what their kids are doing, and when that parent speak to that child raise up and carry on, and it puts the mother or the father in a position that they are afraid to talk to their own children.
And that is something that we've heard, sadly, often, and not just in this country, but in other places. In your opinion, why is it that you think that the parent is now afraid of the child?
Certainly, we all got problems, but we do not have that amount of problems that we cannot chastise and put our children on the right road. We have to find time for our children. We have to don't talk about take away things from them, because that is foolishness. And don't say go to your room like we used to say many years ago. They got the internet right to the house, so they can go in the room. There's some of them glad to go in the room because they got internet they can use and get by, whatever the case may be. But parents, what the parents' problem is today, man, it is something to think about that I don't even have the answer.
Fair enough.
It's like they're trying to make the community raise their children and school raise their children. When a child go to school, they only go to school to learn what the teacher is there to teach them. And when they are finished taught and the day is over, they should be going home. I feel we need to what's the word again now? Put a curfew on these kids and get those police officers up there. Either keep them in a classroom at school, take them down to the police station, and let the parents come and pick up their children. They want to blame everything on society because sometimes some parents claim that they're so stressed out they can't deal with their own child. That is bull. That is your child that you brought here in this world. If you can't raise a child, you find someone who can help you raise a child and put it up for adoption. Our children is going to destruction. And then wants to know why we got so many work permit holders in Cayman. Certainly we got more work permit holders coming to this island. It's going to be forever because our young people is being destroyed with company and drugs and everything else you could think about when it comes to doing wrong things.
Yeah, and you.
When a child is in high school and don't know their two timetable, certainly something is wrong.
Right.
But they just pass them down into the channel. And I want to say they just raised the teachers' salary, I believe. And when you go to some of these primary schools, you cannot leave the children there until 7:30. They should put teachers on duty from 7 o'clock to collect these children so the parents can get to work on time, and the traffic would probably be a little bit easier, especially coming from the eastern side of the island. People got to stay up there until 7:30 to drop their child off, and then got to come into work all frustrated. Bring on teachers in the mornings and rotate it and let them have a room there to collect these children. And some other protocol say, yes, we got it to a certain extent, but Sterling is not fully, and it's not fully open. But before we leave, I want to say two more things to you, but go ahead, ask me.
No, go wait. I'm listening to you. You go say what you wish for.
Yeah. Sterling, just before they refused to give me my ID, it's been 10 months, like I said before. I had just got through fighting to have the port, which is a cargo port that we got cruise ships coming Port Proctor every day. And the dirt that you pick up in your taxi to work with your people. It is a shame to see that they're not cleaning our port off at the end of the night for when those cruise ship passengers come in the morning to take a taxi or a tour bus or whatever they may be taking, or just walking. They're walking in dirt. They're walking in water. And another thing, down by Hell, that place, look, it has not been power washed in the longest thing. Started when you go down there, all you're doing is walking in number 2 of these chickens that is walking up and down. And where does that number 2 go? In your vehicle. How can they say tourism is this, tourism is that, and blah, 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 blah? But the little small things they're not seeing to make sure that everybody's comfortable. Stop looking at the dollar, get the island clean where it needs to be clean, things in order, that everybody can enjoy the moment. And if you think it's easy to go to do a trip, and you got to come home and go to scrub your car up from a number 2, from a rooster or a chicken down by Hell, and from the port with the down there, it's not fair.
It isn't. Well, I'm glad that you bring constantly these things to the public's attention. Thank you very much for sharing, all right? I made some notes, going to ask somebody a question. Okay? All right, thanks very much. And with that, we'll pause, and then we'll come back with join our callers. Stay tuned.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Brand Source Home Gallery 54th birthday celebration with store-wide savings. Save on appliances, faucets, tubs, toilets, shower doors, vanities, kitchen cabinets, custom closets, and more. Starting Monday, November 6th, save 30%. Monday, November 13th, the savings will drop to 20%. And Monday, November 20th, they will drop to 10%. It pays to shop early and save more. Brand Source Home Gallery 54th birthday celebration savings on now through November 25th. Dorsey Drive Industrial Park. Call 623-5000 for more details.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Rotary Central Music Extravaganza tickets are red hot and moving. Somebody is going to win this Saturday, and why not you? Get your ticket now through Rotary Central members, Rotary Central ticket sellers, online at eventpro.ky, A.L. Thompson's Home Depot, Funky Tangs at Shedden Road, Ken Hurlston at Foster's Republics in West Bay, Rotarian Andy Rose Scott next to Rubis in West End, Cayman Brack. Grand prize $40,000. Second winner is $4,000 and 6 $1,000 prizes. Event date, Saturday. This Saturday, November 25th at Salties in Grand Harbor, Red Bay. Music by Sugar Daddy. Goodnight Hannah. The band called Heat. Rotary Central Music Extravaganza, a major fundraiser taking care of our community. Rotary Central, NPO number 232, creating hope in Cayman and the world.
Cayman Islands, clear your calendars because something extraordinary is coming your way. Ignite the Fire, hosted by Christ for All Nations, is roaring into the Lions Center from November 29th to December 3rd. Join us for an epic worship and gospel event, a monumental move of God that will transform lives and reveal destinies. Don't miss this 5-night, once-in-a-generation experience. Be a part of history in the making. Ignite the Fire, Cayman. Mark your date, November 29th to December 3rd at 6:30 p.m. nightly, and get ready for an unforgettable spiritual journey that will set your heart ablaze. Cayman and you will never be the same again.
You don't sound too good there, Bobo.
Yeah, you know how it is. With the kids back in school, every other week they coming out with something, and then I catch it.
Sound like it gets you. But for real, brother, flu season is here and COVID is still around. You gotta stock up on things like medicine, vitamins, and minerals for you and the kids. You know what they say, prevention is better than cure.
At ValueMed, our pharmacists can help manage flu symptoms and provide guidance on vitamins and minerals to best support you and your family's overall health. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Town, or WhatsApp your questions and prescription refills to ValueMed on Walkers Road at 926-1662, or WhatsApp ValueMed in Town at 916-5511. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
It's back, Cayman. That's right. Le Classique's original Black Friday sale. This Friday and Saturday only. Shoes as low as $10 and $20. Store-wide up to 50%. That's right, Cayman. It's back. The original Le Classique Black Friday sale. This Friday and Saturday only. See you there.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. A few more minutes open line as we take this next call. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hello?
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Oh, excellent. Very, very thankful indeed.
Great. I was just listening to your last caller and something she said just kind of like ignited something within me about parenting. And what I have noticed, I'm not a parent, but I've parented quite a few children.
Okay. Forgive me, can I interrupt you? We're not hearing you quite clearly. It sounds like an echo.
Okay.
If you're on speaker, can you, I don't know if that would help.
I am driving, so I'm using my
Yeah, fair enough. We will do our best to hear everything, okay? I just want you to know.
and if not a problem, I'll do that.
No, go ahead. You were saying parenting in the last column.
What I was saying, I would have noticed that some parents are just plain lazy in parenting their children. They just don't want to go through the hassle of correcting their children, telling their children no, showing them how to do things. So they're just lazy. They just want to spend the time to do their own thing. And so some of the children some of them are practically growing up themselves. And it's no wonder, you have that type of behavior. And granted, not all the kids are like that. You have good children out there. You have good parents out there. And you have good parents out there who teach their children things and it's them to do something that you wouldn't expect them to do as well. But yes, there are bad parenting going on there. They're just plain lazy. And then there are some parents that, again, they don't want to tell their children no. They treat the children like them, and they are like friends, best of friends. There's no boundaries. You can't tell who's the parent and who's the child. So what you're gonna do, and then the kids go into wider society, and then they don't know how to operate with other adults, and other adults tell them what to do things because they don't have people tell them what to do things. So when people tell them what to do, they get upset and they don't know how to react to that.
As I listen to you, and I'm glad that you were able to call, and sincerest apologies that we're going to be hitting 2 minutes away before the news, but in what you're sharing and your own experiences and observations, to what extent, though, do you think we, the adult, as you shared, encapsulated the parent and not parenting, but what about the teacher, the coach, the pastor, the youth leader, all of the other adults that are in society? To what extent do we engage positively and guide the child positively and help them to, maybe not make so many missteps?
That is not, that's not their primary goal. Those people are just secondary. It comes from the foundation needs to be set at home.
Okay.
Where you have parents.
Fair enough.
They didn't have them.
But let me then ask, right? Two things. One, if you just say that the parents are not doing the job, but two, given that children in schools and in other environments, we're told they spend more of their waking hours in these environments than they do in their homes with their parents, aren't these other people's roles not significant, not, as you shared, perhaps secondary?
Yeah. But the thing is, Dwayne, that those people do not have the authority to do some of the things that they would want to do. They're not their kids. They can't parent them.
Right.
They can only teach them. And then if they need them to do certain things and act a certain way, they don't have the right to do to penalize them or just correct them in any way.
Right.
I mean, in the way that they could be corrected, they don't have that authority.
Fair enough. And I would be the first to say that I don't want anybody to raise my child but me. All right. I'm responsible for my children. They're accountable to me. But if what you're saying is true to the nth degree, then how and to what extent are we ensuring that the teachers, the pastors, the youth leaders, the coaches, and all those other people who influence and affect the thinking and actions of our children, that they are of the caliber and ethos, that is actually a good example.
Yeah, the resources. I mean, what kind of resources did it? I don't know.
No, because I mean, if we have, for instance, right, just as an example, we see schools and we talk about students, and when if we see a child in the school, and if the teacher is sharing a perspective, a personal opinion, a particular view on a topic, whether it's the subject that is being taught or whether it's the personal comment or editorial of the teacher, that obviously one would accept can be very influential on a child's perspective.
Well, of course, we are affected by our environment, that's for sure. But when you're talking about setting the ground foundation, that has to come from the home. I mean, you're going to send your child to a certain institution because you like what the institution has to offer, right? So, I mean, I just think that sometimes we expect too much from school.
No, I think
that is not their role.
No, I agree with you. But as you're sharing respectfully, I think that we're sending conflicting messages. I take your last point. If in the home, for instance, the home says, "Hey, we are prayerful, or we don't subscribe to these things," but yet if you go into the school, is the child being bombarded by these other things that goes against the foundational values and the green of what the ethos is in the home? And if so, is the child penalized for that in the school because of the values of the home?
Well, that is a whole different thing. I mean, you have religious rights and all that kind of stuff, but the thing is that the school will stick to just teaching school, work, reading, arithmetic, what have you, leave it like that. All the rest of stuff,
But
just leave that
is that what is happening though? I mean, we got adults preying on children. Anyway. I think the problem is that...
but that shouldn't be happening because that is just harassment.
Yeah, but we should not have people breaking laws and we should not have police carrying guns, but that's happening too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, people can do things that they shouldn't do at some time or the other, but at the same time, you need parents to really step up. A lot of parents are stepping up, but you have a lot of parents who are just slack, and I wonder what kind of adults they hope their children become.
No, man.
They're right. Not investing in the child from now on. I mean, like they're just kind of like, hey, you're here, I push you out, so to speak, do your thing. When you become an adult, everything will work out fine. Yeah. No, it's not going to happen.
I think you're right, man. I think the foundation in the home is important, and that partnership in the community is, very, very crucial. But I think what you're saying too is something that we've ignored. Too many of us are talking out of both sides of our mouths. Maybe it's a time for a conversation at a time when you're not on speaker that more of us could hear what you're saying. And, thank you for sharing, though. And thanks to Paul for giving us 4 extra minutes. Thank you so much. Talk to you very soon, hopefully. And with that, when we come back from the break, we'll talk about the Lions Club, annual spelling bee. And here's an opportunity to maybe consider that partnership. Well, stay tuned for Talk Today.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Health Services Authority launches a podcast, Health Today with HSA. The podcast focuses on health education, the treatment of medical conditions, preventative health care, and services available at the HSA. Episodes are streamed on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. In international headlines, 3 young children and a woman were injured today in Dublin's city centre in what Irish police have termed a serious public order incident. A man also suffered injuries during the violence, which took place outside a school shortly after 1:30 p.m. Citing witnesses at the scene, Irish media said some of the casualties were hospitalized with what appeared to be stab wounds. Ireland's Prime Minister expressed his shock and said a suspect had been detained. Police said one of the children, a girl and a woman, have sustained serious injuries. A man and 2 other children sustained less serious injuries. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been accused of sexually assaulting a woman in 1993. That, according to a legal summons filed this week. The 3-page filing does not contain details of the alleged assault, but names Adams, the Transit Bureau of New York Police Department, and the New York Police Department Guardians Association as defendants. The summons says the plaintiff was sexually assaulted by the defendant in 1993 when they both worked for the city of New York. The filing seeks a trial and $5 million in relief. In a statement, a City Hall spokesman said the mayor does not know who the person is, and if they ever met, he doesn't recall it, but says he would never do anything to physically harm another person and vigorously denies any such claim. Those are your headlines. From Radio K-Man's Newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's Newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And we got a chance, I tried to make a joke earlier to say I didn't know bees could spell, but apparently they have been for a long time. So there's an annual spelling bee, and I think for the last, I think we did the calculation, got it verified. It was fact checked, by the same people that tell you everything that comes out of the WHO is true. They verified it for us. 10,000 years the spelling bee has been going on. So it's accurate now. We read it. Now there has to be a bit of levity in what we say and get people a little bit inflamed sometimes. Huh? Well, the wonderful presence of Ms. Kimberly Kirkconnell. Thank you very much for joining us. You and the team over at our Department of Education and Services.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. She's a Senior Customer Services Manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
I read that earlier. I don't know if I can see it now, but thank you for coming on. It's fantastic.
Thank you for having me, Dwayne. It's great to be here. And of course, we're here to promote our 2 spelling bees, which are happening next Tuesday and Wednesday. So primary is being done on Tuesday, and secondary is being done on Wednesday. And we're very grateful to have the sponsors that we've had for many years running now. RBC Royal Bank. It's the 24th year that they've been supporting primary spelling bee, and we're now in the 41st year of Lions Club of Grand Cayman supporting the secondary spelling bee.
And that is commendable. That partnership that shows not only the service to the community, but investment in our people. And, from the Lions Club of Grand Cayman, Mr. Daniel Reed, I said earlier, there was a spelling bee, but there's 2. I wonder if they're going to be dressed up. What are bees going to wear?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. You said that you didn't know that bees could spell. I don't know if you've seen the movie. They're quite intelligent. So not only can they spell, they can do a lot more.
It's the weirdest thing that you referenced. Right? I've been saying to my son in particular, I want to watch that again. Yeah. Because there's just the messaging about bees and the sport and pollination. Right? No. Now, I don't care for the actor whose voice is being the bee, right? But nonetheless, I can see him in that context. But he has this affinity for that lady. That's the part I'm thinking. I gotta be careful of saying else, but he was getting his thing on, man. But bees and the idea of a spelling bee, for anyone who's participated in it, or as students, or teachers are sort of going through a little rehearsal, a little preparation, because there's one coming up. And you have to go in front of the class, and especially in primary school where, back then, you sat in rows and it was this way, and you come and you spell the word and then you talk. And Miss Connie, he gave us this joke the other day. He said, boy, the child had come home and the parents are irate, preparing for the spelling bee. And says, well, little Johnny, what's wrong? He said, teacher asked me to spell a word and I couldn't spell it. But the father, being very defensive of the child, marches down to the school and says, teacher, how do you expect our child to spell such a word, like a big word like cow? You should give him something smaller like mosquito. That was from Mr. Connie. Come on, Paul. That was funny, man. That was fun. Not my joke, but Mr. Connie always has one for me, man.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. But I say that to say that preparation of spelling bees, from the initial sort of confidence that you get in front of the class to the encouragement and the nurturing. And to watch young students so confidently, it's not just a rehearsal. It's
exactly. Yeah.
It's Kim.
Yeah.
Those are the days, man.
And I think, you know, that's one of the wonderful things about these competitions is, you know, the spelling and the academics and the literacy benefits are one thing, but the actual confidence and learning how to speak in front of a crowd and you know, handle under pressure, right? With, you know, everyone kind of judging you and making sure you get it right. You know, those are really important life skills that help our children, you know, further develop. And I know some of our government primary schools even hold their own preliminary rounds to help build the confidence of the children for them to then, you know, be able to be on the bigger stage for the finals.
So, Mr. Reed, from your perspective, do you see yourself as someone who would, you know, want to be front and center and there's the mic and you have to spell this word that's given to you by the moderator?
Well, it was interesting. I actually did quite a bit of spelling bees when I was in school. I didn't make it to the National Spelling Bee that Lions actually sponsored, but I did quite well at the school level. I think just to add to what Kim said, it's so very important. I think, you know, in terms of development of a child, reading is core to everything.
That's right.
And if you could take big words, sound them out, and actually spell them correctly, then that forms the basis in terms of learning to read. And if you can't read, then that's the foundation of everything.
Exactly.
So, and I think one of the most important things for Lions, and we also demonstrate that in our Leo program, which is the youth arm of the Lions Club, is about youth development. Leo stands for leadership, experience, and opportunity. And so, you know, that's why we have kind of always taken on the high school side of things, because that's where we start to develop young people. And we do see the importance of this, and obviously we've been investing in it for 41 years.
And I'm glad that, you know, I was told long ago that he was a champion speller. I mean, but a friend of mine, in telling that little story, he didn't tell the tales about your other antics. You know, they're safe for now, But he said that for him, even to this day, and he has to be conscious that you get so comfortable with the device spelling it for you. But for him to spell, whatever the word is, he needs, you know, his preference was the pen, and he'd write it down. You know, what's your name? George G. Okay. It's not going to spell it. He has to spell it first as he writes it. But these children, that's not what they're doing, right?
No.
You know, spell this word mosquito and M-I-S-K-I-T-A, mosquito. I got to spell it.
Because it's smaller than cow.
Yeah, exactly.
But then as the parent, I mean, I've had the opportunity to interview some of the students, and it's amazing the pride that you see in the parent, but then this confidence, as Ms. Kim shared, in the student to know that they've put in this preparation.
Oh yeah, I mean the kids, you know, there's nothing like a child being proud of themselves, right? And you know, to believe in themselves. And again, when you believe in yourself, you can, you know, really move mountains and progress through life and so on. And so again, building blocks that these kind of competitions and stuff help with our young people. And you know, after the event, we're hoping to have some of the winners on with you as well, so they can speak for themselves with that.
And I think just to add to that too, if I can, I think not only from a pride standpoint and building confidence as it relates to the child. So if you think that the kids overjoyed in terms of you got to look at the parents.
Yeah,
I've seen parents over the years come down to tears, and obviously it's a good experience in parents working with their kids, not only what they're doing in school and building up for this, but parents working at home and preparing them and what have you, and then to come and see the final event, and then for your child and to be the winner. When you put in all that work, I think definitely you can see the pride and everything else.
I'm glad you referenced that, because I was trying to allude to earlier the joy in the parent, but then it's by extension the joy in the wider community.
Yes.
I do recognize that we have much on in our societies, from the demands of our professions, the expectations of our customers and clients, but also the distractions that come otherwise. And maybe this is a way for us as a community to step back. Not long ago, activities took place and they weren't competing as they are now. Today we got 10 things to do. How do you get there? Just logistically. But maybe these two events for, well, Ms. Kim, I know over the years you weren't able to, the demand has been there.
Yes it is. But yeah, no, I mean, I think, you know, we have had quite a few schools say, you know, parents want to come, they want to watch how we think. And, you know, we're going to be live streaming it on the government channels. To try and give more access, because we appreciate that it is during the school day, so it's more difficult for parents to come out. But, you know, hopefully you can, you know, log in on your device and see your child up there if you're not able to come in person. And I think one of the other beautiful things about this event too, and about all the national events, is we're making sure that the entire education community comes together. So we invite government and private and even homeschools to join. And we have a wonderful representation from all. And it really is about making sure our kids work together, do competitions together to look at it holistically.
All right, we're going to schedule a break, but when we come back, we'll ask you to share with us, the time and the place and all the different things and as much. And I love learning, and I think the day isn't a good day unless you learn something, about yourself or something new.
Agreed.
So, to our listeners, 2 spelling bees. They're not going to be wearing black and yellow, whatever. Today, we can put them in purple. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles until December 31st, 2023. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Jingle all the way into the season of incredible savings and wish granting with Digicel. This Christmas, get 25% off your Prime Bundle plan or postpaid bill for the next 6 months. With plans featuring social data, entertainment data, and more, Digicel keeps you connected and entertained all season long. But here's the real magic. Digicel could make your Christmas wish come true. Win a prize of your choice, from getting your rent paid to a new laptop or even a brand new car. Visit a Digicel store today, where dreams come true this holiday season.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020. Shop in store or online for the extraordinary Black Friday sale at Tomlinson Furniture and Mattress Gallery. 2 days, in store only, Friday the 24th and Saturday the 25th of November. Store-wide savings on everything in stock, up to 50% off, plus a free gift with purchase. Online shoppers can save on Cyber Monday with huge savings of everything from TomlinsonFurniture.ky. This is the largest sale of the year. The perfect time to replace your mattress, buy your bedroom set, sofas, and anything you need for the home. Hurry in for Tomlinson Furniture's Black Friday in-store sale this Friday and Saturday. And Cyber Monday sale, save up to 50% off. Tomlinson Building on Walkers Road.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Britke. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
Kirk Freeport's 4-day Black Friday weekend is back from Thursday 23rd to Monday 27th. Kirk Freeport will have once-in-a-year deals that must end on Monday. Find unbeatable deals on jewelry, watches, and fragrances across the Kirk Freeport network, including Kirk Freeport at the Strand and Bayshore Mall and La Parfumerie at Bayshore Mall and Cardinal Avenue. And there's more. The Kirk Freeport pop-up store on Cardinal Avenue is back with the craziest deals of all, up to 75% off. The biggest luxury sale of the year is here for 4 days only. Visit KirkFreeport.com for details.
Talk today.
but I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And see how school and education can be so much fun. You thought it was my guest? Yeah, there too. From the Lions Club, Mr. Daniel Reid. Thanks very much to you and the team, and for that, unwavering support and commitment to service and to the community and invest in, in our education. The endeavors are truly, meaningful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And of course, Ms. Kim Lackarono, the idea that in the growing community that we are, it almost demands on resources, sometimes from parents. Wait a minute, you mean we got 25 hours in a day and our child is only in school 12 hours? Come on.
Yeah.
We want more, right? And we want, with an understanding there is a cost, not just the financial, the human cost. But this spelling bee has been remarkable.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's a lot of fun. It's one of those happy, enjoyable events that really bring the best out of everybody.
And it inspires, because even you as the adult, the parent of the child spelling, you have that nervousness to just as a parent of another child competing, you feel it for the child, you're encouraging, but but just as an adult, you go, wow, that child has spelled this word. You learn something.
Oh, yeah. I mean, many adults would be like, oh, I'll never get up on stage and do that. Personally, I'm a terrible speller, right? I still spell check is my thing. I was never in the spelling bees. That was not my forte, and the skill sets of the children are just remarkable.
Yeah, man. And I think worth repeating, as you shared, it builds confidence to be able to spell. And a little trick that my parents, I think, consciously, I call it a trick, but they were serious. They were writing. Back then, you had to write letters.
Yeah.
Right? And just to teach you, how do you spell that word again?
Yeah.
And you knew that they knew the word, right?
Yeah.
They want you
But,
to
and you spell it and you get it wrong. They, oh, no, I think it's,
Yep.
So smart. Little things, I say trick, maybe techniques that we can. And this is very much similar to that. Back then we had state boards and dinosaurs, but it's a bit different. But tell us about it, because it's coming up soon. There are 2, Miss Kim?
Yep. So we've got 2. So the primary school and then the secondary or high school. So the RBC Royal Bank Primary National Spelling Bee will be on Tuesday, the 28th of November at 10 a.m. And that's going to be at the John Gray High School Performing Arts. And I really have to give a shout out to the team over there, Mr. Clark and his team, facilities, ICT, who are really making this happen and use those wonderful facilities. And then the Lions Club of Grand Cayman Secondary National Spelling Bee will be on the Wednesday, the 29th of November at the same time, 10 a.m. And that's going to occur at the Lions Community Center. And again, huge thanks to Lions, huge thanks to RBC for all of their support.
And it's, I recognize, and I'm not trying to, make it more challenging for parents or for employers, but if the employers and colleagues and customers can be a little bit more considerate, the parent wants to step away for a bit to participate, let's see if we can accommodate, because that makes it hard. You can watch it online, but it's not the same thing.
Agreed. And parents are definitely welcome. It's a little more tricky at John Gray because school is in session, but, and we'll send the message out to the schools too. Parents need to come to the front of the building. They will be signed in and they will be escorted down, but we can certainly accommodate them. And then at Lions Center, it's easier, of course, because in the public venue. And so, they'll be able to come in and join there as well.
It'll be great. I mean, it's good to see that community participation, and we do understand sometimes, hopefully, as the child, yes, a parent would like to be there, but just can't. It's just not possible. And it speaks to maybe a wider issue of what is unfolding in our community. But, we have it, and it's 2 days of a demonstration of what we can expect.
That's right, exactly.
All right. Now, this is for all of the schools in the country?
Yes, all the schools country, private, public, and the homeschools are invited as well through the Homeschool Association.
Yeah, you shared that with us, but I wanted to remind people, it's not just for this group over here.
No.
You got it in 2 blocks, the primary and the secondary, and then the students who are not just selected but nominated or have a teen, to be elevated to the national level. Some schools, as you shared, have their own in-house competitions.
Exactly. Some of them take it very, very seriously. And all kudos to them. We have 17 primary schools, mix of both government and private, and again, 11 secondary schools participating, both a mix as well. And we require a team can be a maximum of 3, and then you can have 1 reserve. So most schools are bringing a full team. Some are just bringing 1 or 2, but again, it's as long as you bring 1, we're happy to enter you. And it's been really positive in terms of how many kids and how many schools are taking part.
And Mr. Reid, from the perspective of the Lions, not just providing the venue, the logistical considerations, not just making sure the parking is there, you've got the equipment. There is an investment, and this is during the school day, the work day, and your members have to be on deck.
Yeah, it's definitely an investment in part of the Lions, not only monetarily, but it's offering the facilities. We've sponsored the medals and trophies, and also one of the big things is because obviously this is an electronic age. The big prizes are the iPads, so that that really motivates the kids in terms of a prize and what have you. But the Lions are definitely going to be out there in numbers. So I think any Lion that actually works anywhere, employers kind of know. That we kind of take off time to do what we have to do, and we have that kind of accommodation. So it's just I mean, Lions is about service and it's to be served, so that's what we do.
And this bodes well because that, to me, would not only incentivize the child relative to whatever the the prize and the award may be, but whether they're conscious of it, and I'm confident they are. They see adults who are caring.
Exactly.
Beyond the adult who's the teacher, the parent, or their normal familiar faces. And then they feel the sense of comfort. And I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think unless you're in that environment, you won't necessarily appreciate how significant that is.
Yeah. And I think too, Lions is a wonderful service club, right? So it introduces the children to that pride, to that, community support, and they could say, oh, well, maybe I'll be a Lions when I get older, and again, from RBC's side, even though that's a corporate company and a bank, again, they and they apologize for not being able to be here, but
it's a work day.
Exactly, but they speak to their commitment to the community as well, right? They've done this for now 24 years. They support programs that elevate the youth, and they really talk about the care and the vision they have for the community. And so again, that's introducing children again to the corporate world, and also seeing that the corporate world supports them and wants to see them doing better. And we've seen that in other events as well that private sector companies have supported. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity for our children as well.
Well, as some of my friends who are into that space of marketing and PR, they remind me. Companies not only want to be seen as good corporate citizens, but when they're aligned with something, they want to make sure that their brand and their image with this thing helps to elevate them. An event like, Spelling Bee, partner with the Lions by extension. What do all young people say? Oh, duh. I think that's how they spell it. No, but it's fun, man. And, kind of a good way to... I think the children just had some exams coming up now. We used to do mocks, and apparently they're doing...
the high schools are going in. Well, at least I know that because John Gray will be doing mock exams next week. So the government high schools are definitely in mocks, and it depends too on the system, right? But a lot of the British system, Caribbean system schools are starting to go into their mock exams.
We used to have screens in November and then mocks in March or thereabouts.
The pressure's changed. At least it's happening before Christmas, because I know in England some of them were right after Christmas. I was like, that's me.
Brutal.
No, that was when I was looking at schools. That was one reason why, because all my friends went across there. When they come home if they came home for Christmas, there was no fun. They had exams after, and even some of the I think at UB as well. I thought, no, I mean Christmas is just. It's a hiatus. You didn't do anything.
So this gives them a little bit of fun in between all the pressures of school as well.
All right. Well, I'm hopeful they're not just looking forward to future years and immediately thereafter the students will come to participate. But we, as the wider community, see the importance of this. Speaking to Jasmine earlier, if you, as Daniel said, if you can't read and write, how are you going to function?
Exactly.
It's foundation. And just one quick point too, I think. I remember a young man, because like I said, we've been involved with spelling bee for so long, and I remember coming up to me, and I was kind of a long time in my 20s. He said, "Well, I want to be like you. I want to be a lion." And it was interesting because this young man actually came up and went into the Leo program, is now into Lions, and is an exceptional young man and a real leader. So, and I've seen a lot of them that have come up and been so impressed by the Lions movement. And Lions, by extension, is almost a family to them. And they see us as, role models. And it's so important you put on this vest so you don't know how much people are looking up to you as an example. And you have to be cognizant of that. And like I said, it's definitely made a great impact on a lot of young people in terms of coming up through the ranks. So.
Thank you, and to your other fellow Lions members, but to you right here, in that you wear that as a badge on, as uniform, but there's a respect that you have for it, and you conduct yourself in a way. And the came out of yesterday, we would say, don't forget who you're from. That wasn't just your direct parents, your community, and all the other things that went with it. Maybe that reminding now would see us, that. I call it orange. A friend says, no, it's a plush gold. But when you see that, you'll be remindful of how important it is to give. And people like Miss Kim and her team over the years, man, you guys do a great work that probably sometimes unappreciated by the wider community because. Well,
but we're here for the community, you know, and we things like this especially make it all worthwhile. Seeing the pride in the kids and the experiences that they get, and this is the fun part of the work, right?
It's rewarding.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, if I had my way, an event like this, right, especially in the school that's been hosted, the students would be almost required. Not necessarily forced, but have the opportunity. So the exams wouldn't be on; they'll be there to participate. Now, logistics. Back when I was in school, there were 5 people. Now there's 5 million in the classroom. It's certainly different, right? But being able to have the child there to cheer on may build a greater sense of community. May cause, just like that student seeing, an example of a lion being a lion later on. That child may say, "Oh, hey, you do that." You build camaraderie.
Yeah.
But just a thought. When I become
we'll
governor.
take it on.
All right. Well, I truly value education, and I don't say it lightly, and I don't say it in any other way out of great love and respect. I think it's one of the 2 pillars in our society. Anything, Ms. Kim, that you might want to share with us more about?
Just to be, I mean, we've not made too many changes this year. The spelling words historically have been from the Jamaican Gleaner. We've reviewed those this year, and we've kind of accommodated for a few things. So where, for example, the sentences and that may be asked to read, we've tried to make some of them more Caymanian affiliated and locally representative, and some of the words too, we account for both the American and the British spelling because we recognize we have schools here that do both curriculums. We have a mixture of people who learn both, so we don't want to discriminate against that and make sure the kids have opportunity, and so both spellings, either spelling will be taken if that word is given. So just some of the basic things that we've kind of incorporated this year. I mean, overall it's a well-oiled machine and you don't fix what ain't broke, right? So it's just building a bit more of that, local cultural aspect, student pride aspect into it,
And thank you for that too. I think what that does is cause us to be more sensitive, and maybe in the past not recognizing that we just did it because we did it. Now we have to ensure that we're conscious. And simply, you spell in a word, well, there's the American version and the English version. But is one correct and the other isn't? Should one, and you saying I read something just the other day that someone had written, I could recognize that when they would write, you would use the S or the Z, right? Depending on how they understood that word. And sometimes there would be a U or no U. Humor with a U, humor without. This is one person writing, well, it wasn't physical, they had typed it in. So maybe the spell check
came up.
But it was interesting to see how that changed, right? And we need to be conscious. But Mr. Reid, for you and the Lions, or in the closing remarks, sir?
No, I just want to say that obviously we've had a really good partnership with the Department of Education in terms of putting this event on. We're definitely invested in doing another 41 years. I don't think I'll be around in the 41 years. Of course you will. But the Lions Club, because obviously that Lions is bigger than just one person, that we will still be involved and that we will go from strength to strength.
That is our prayer, man. I hope with that continued partnership, we will see
Absolutely.
it. And, the venues, no matter whether it's a football stadium with 100,000, there is a capacity.
Mhm.
So, I know you'll be heavily subscribed, but I'm glad that you are able to, facilitate this. So,
Great.
I commend the students for their courage and for the
Yes.
teachers for investing, but the parents, for encouraging it.
Definitely. It's definitely holistic. Everyone's to be thanked. And I just want to, thank again our sponsors, RBC Royal Bank and the Lions Club of Grand Cayman. Their partnership is just absolutely wonderful to make this happen.
Mhm.
All the team at the DES, the schools, parents, everyone plays a part in bringing this together. And just, very grateful for that partnership and support.
Yeah, that's what makes it happen, man. We come together.
Mhm.
This was truly another wonderful discussion, and I'm so excited. Not just because I'm not doing the spelling on stage, but to know that it can be done.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's being done here. So thanks very much.
Yep. Thank you very
Have a
much.
chat with you soon.
Having us.
All right, my friend, enjoy your afternoon, man. If you find some turtle meat, put some hot sauce on it, dig into it. Huh?
Looking for something more.
All right, to our listeners, there's good things happening in the parliament. I have not updated just yet. Is it still going on? All right. Have you declared war on anybody? No. See, it's good. Have you declared independence? No. See, it's good. No. Become involved and engaged. As much as I try to have a little levity, it's always good to be appreciative that respect begets respect. And I commend our parliamentarians for their unwavering commitment and service. And at the end of the day, let's join so that we make this country that safe, secure, and stable society that we desire. Tomorrow morning, please join Mr. Art as he brings you perhaps the best morning show. All right, for the record. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.